Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And very good morning to all of you. Alright. This is our second chapter, which is consists of demand. Alright. In this chapter, you will learn about the definitions of demand, law, schedules, and curve of demand, determinants of demand, changes in demand, and changes in the quantity demand. The last one is elasticity of demand, which consists of type of elasticity of demand, and also elasticity of demand of agricultural product versus the elasticity of demand of industrial product. Alright, the first one, definition. Definitions for demand is the quantity of a good or services that buyers are willing and able to purchase at different price in a period of time in a given market holding. Other non-price factors are constant or ceteris paribus. The most important here to be highlighted is the quantity of goods and services. This the first thing to be focused, and the second one is that a buyer are willing and able to purchase. What are they able and willing to purchase at a different price in a period of time? Okay, it is very important to have these three elements: quantity of goods and services, buyers that are willing and able to purchase, and the last one is the different price in a period of time. Alright, non-price factors including income, taste, and preference. Alright. Second, law of demand. The law of demand. It is the state that there is an inverse or negative relationship between the price of a good and the quantity buyers are willing to buy. Alright. For example, if a product price increase, ceteris paribus, of other non-price factors is constant, the quantity demand for the good will decrease. Right. Easy. When the price increase, automatically the good will decrease. Contohnya kalau you all pergi beli barang, biasanya beli apa? Contoh katalah dekat sini kan, you beli apa? Beli makanan lah dekat Takan. Hari ni you beli nasi lauk ayam ada sayur, harga dia RM4. Kan? Semua beli pada hari yang sama. The next day you go buy the same thing. Okay, ada nasi, ada ayam, ada sayur. Tiba-tiba harga dia akan jadi naik RM5. So apa akan jadi? You will, the demand for the lauk, nasi, ayam dan sayur akan berkurang. So that is very simple. Belilah apa-apa, kalau harga tu lebih mahal daripada biasa, then the demand will decrease. Alright, very simple. Okay, all this besides that, if the price decrease, automatically the demand will increase. Contohnya apa? You suka beli coklat, biasanya satu pack you beli harga dia RM10. Tiba-tiba dia buat promotion, kan? Harga dia decrease sehingga RM5. So automatically you akan beli 2. Betul tak? So when the price decrease, the demand will increase. Okay. It also reflect on the scarcity and the demand. Okay, why? The first one is the income effect. Income, maksudnya pendapatan. It's relating to consumer purchasing power, and also when the price increase, less purchasing power. Kan, especially right now during PKP, obviously kita kurang duit. You tak bekerja, tak ada duit. Okay, so it's relate to the income. When the income is decreased, automatically the demand also will decrease, because kita dah tak ada kuasa untuk membeli sebab tak ada duit. Right. When the price increase, less purchasing power. Sebab apa? Contoh kata, gaji you tetap juga dengan harga, let's say RM2,000. Kan? So sebelum ni dengan harga RM2,000 you beli macam-macam. Bila harga dah makin naik, so you kena kurangkan pembelian. Okay, the second one is substitution effect. It's a comparative to other substitute goods, more or less expensive, causing customers to choose less expensive goods. Substitution effect ni contohnya macam mana? You suka makan Maggi, Dulu harga Maggi 5 pack, satu pack yang 5 bungkus harga dia RM3.5. Sekarang dah jadi harga RM5. So what will happen? You akan tukar pergi ke yang lebih murah. Contohnya macam Mami ataupun Mi Sedap, all those things. That one is the substitution effect. Okay. When the price increase, you will choose to buy less expensive goods. Alright. Okay. Now we proceed to the demand schedule and curve. A demand schedule is a table showing how much of a given product the household will be willing to buy at different prices. Demand curve are usually derived from the demand schedule. Okay. This is example. Zaki demand schedule for the telephone calls. Okay. Sekarang semua orang guna unlimited call, unlimited internet, you call guna WhatsApp all the same. So yang ni mungkin tak jelas sangat. Okay, let's say contohlah kata kalau saya bagi tahu contoh lain seperti demand untuk, saya bagi contoh coklat lah senang. Okay, sebulan kalau harga coklat, no, coklat is very susah pula kena order. Kita stick lah dengan telephone call. Alright. Before this, if you want to make a call, then you have to pay. I think it also same today. 1 call per minute, you will charge certain amount. Okay. Let's say if the price per call, it costs you RM0. So you demand for the free call or the call per month is about 30. It's not you, Zaki. Okay. So Zaki will make 30 calls per month. Right. Then suddenly the next month the price per call increase to 50 cents. Every single call Zaki make, it will charge Zaki 50 cents. Because of the price, Zaki cannot more, unable to make 30 calls per month. So Zaki will increase to 25 calls per month. Alright. Okay. Then after that, the price per call increase up to RM3.50. Because the price is increasing, so Zaki only able to make a call for 7 times per month. And also continuing, when the price increase up to RM7, Zaki only can make 3 calls. Up to RM10 per call, Zaki only able to make a single call. If the price goes up to RM50 per call, so Zaki are not able to make a call, a single call for a month. Right. So dekat sini kita boleh tengok semakin harga tinggi, kuantiti demand akan semakin menurun. Sebab apa? Sebab kita kena tengok balik kepada jumlah penggunaan ataupun perbelanjaan Zaki pada satu bulan. Jadi kita tengok contoh dekat harga RM3.50 ataupun RM7. RM3.50, RM7 dan RM10. Okay. Kalau Zaki buat panggilan berharga RM3.50 sebanyak 7 kali, so more or less dia akan dapat harga lebih kurang dalam RM25 untuk satu bulan. Dia kena spend untuk RM25. Okay. Kalau untuk RM7 satu kali call, dia hanya boleh call sebanyak 3 kali, more or less RM21. Okay. So kita tengok dekat sini secara generalnya Zaki punya what we call it, allocation untuk buat panggilan telefon hanyalah sebanyak RM20 ke RM25 saja sebulan. Okay. So that's why dia punya pembelanjaan tu, apabila harga makin tinggi, so Zaki perlu kurangkan dia punya frekuensi untuk telefon. Okay, that also this situation applicable to any other situation. Maksudnya apabila harga makin meningkat, so you kena kurangkan quantity demand. Alright. Okay, so from the table kita boleh buat satu graph. Alright. So kalau lah saya ubah je price per call ni, saya ubah dengan nilai lain, quantity demand saya ubah dengan nilai lain, you still lagi boleh buat graph as long as you tahu mana letak dekat paksi X dengan paksi Y. Okay, the demand curve is a graph illustrating how much of a given product a household would be willing to buy at a different price. Okay, right here, the first one, quantity demand is 30, the price is 0, so you have 1. Okay, here RM0 quantity demand 30, so RM0 price per cost, quantity demand is 30. The second price is 50 cents, quantity demand is 25, 50 cents at 25, and so on up to 15 ringgit and 0 cost. Okay, so you akan buat garisan ni, you connect the dot and you will have a demand curve. Right, let's say in a test or quiz or any exam or any assignment I give it to you, I ask for the demand curve. So the demand curve should be like this, based on the table. Okay, alright, it's very simple. Okay, so the concept here, when the price increase, quantity decrease is here. Right, from 3 ringgit 50 cents goes to 7 ringgit. So what happened to the quantity demand? From 7 decrease to 3. When the price decrease from 7 ringgit to 3 ringgit 50 cents, what happened quantity? Quantity will increase. Alright, so from this you can explain the relationship between the increasing of price and the decreasing of the quantity demand. Alright, the next, individual and market demand curve. Individual market curve is referred to a demand curve of an individual, a consumer or a buyer. Market demand curve shows total quantity demand by all buyers in the market, derived by totaling up all the individual demand. Simple je, sangat senang. You only focus to the individual of market. When you say individual demand curve, maksudnya orang perseorangan ataupun a single consumer or buyer. Graf yang dihasilkan hanyalah merujuk kepada seorang sahaja. Apabila market demand curve, market, it shows all the buyers. Maksudnya let's say saya bagi you ada a few buyers. Ada Siti, ada Aminah, ada Ali, ada Abu, ada Makcik Kiah, ada anak Makcik Kiah lagi. Okay, you combine all the demand by these people, you total up, then you can make a graph, a curve. Alright. The next one is the changes in quantity demand and changes in demand. Changes in quantity demand is caused solely by changes in the price of the product itself, ceteris paribus. Remember what is ceteris paribus? None other factors are constant. Indicated by movement along the same demand curve. Okay. Yang ini merujuk kepada perubahan pada kuantiti yang diminta dan juga perubahan dalam permintaan. Okay. Nampak macam pelik sikit, tapi it's very simple. Apabila berlaku perubahan dalam sesuatu permintaan, when there is changes in demand, automatically there will be changes in the quantity of demand. Changes in quantity demand is because of the price of the product itself. Hanya disebabkan oleh harga produk itu sahaja. Okay. Changes in demand is referred to a changes in the quantity demand at each possible price and caused by the changes of factors other than good or product own price. Okay, changes in demand merujuk kepada perubahan sesuatu permintaan pada satu tasak harga, yang di mana perubahan ini adalah faktor selain daripada harga produk tersebut sahaja. Okey. Maksudnya ia boleh jadi faktor-faktor lain. Mungkin sebab rupa, mungkin sebab warna, mungkin sebab rasa, anything. selain daripada harga. Okay. So, boleh changes in quantity demand disebabkan oleh harga sahaja. Changes in demand adalah disebabkan oleh faktor selain daripada harga. Okay, interrelated demand. Interrelated demand, there are 4 interrelated demand. Joint demand, competitive demand, derived demand and composite demand. Okay, apa maksud interrelated? Maksudnya permintaan yang ada hubung kait. Contoh kata joint demand, complementary goods. What is complementary? Dia complement to each other. Let's say contoh kopi dan gula. Kopi dan gula, semakin banyak permintaan kopi, bermaksud semakin tinggilah permintaan gula atau susu. So that one is joint demand. Tea and sugar, coffee and creamer. Apa lagi? Contoh-contoh lain. Contoh lain lagi. Kalau you all top up dengan telefon, telefon dengan top up, semakin banyak telefon yang ada, so lagi banyaklah korang top up. Betul ke? Boleh guna ke contoh tu? Macam tak sesuai sangat kot kan? Joint demand, apa lagi joint demand Okay, nanti boleh search dekat Google another example of complementary goods. Okay, competitive demand or substitute goods. Substitute goods ni macam saya bagi tahu tadi, it's like instant noodle, Maggi dengan mi sedap, ataupun dengan Mami, Indomie, all those things. Okay, maksudnya kalau sesuatu barang Maggi, harga dia tinggi, so orang akan beralih kepada Mami. Substitute goods, barang yang boleh ditukar ganti. Let's say Colgate dengan Dali, it's a substitute goods, barang yang hampir sama tapi dijual pada harga yang berbeza. Alright. Derived demand. Derived demand is increase in demand for house will result in increase in demand of for brick. Okay, contohnya kat sini adalah derived demand ni, sesuatu permintaan akan sesuatu permintaan pada sesuatu barang akan menyebabkan permintaan kepada barangnya yang berkait akan tinggi. Contoh kata, permintaan untuk rumah sangat tinggi. So, untuk buat rumah, you perlukan bata, simen, atap, paku lah apa semua kan. So, same goes. Itu dia derived demand. Alright. Contohnya, apa lagi? Permintaan untuk kereta sangat tinggi. So, permintaan untuk tayar pun akan jadi tinggi. Permintaan untuk telefon sangat tinggi. So, permintaan untuk skrin dan juga bateri telefon pun akan jadi tinggi. So, that one is derived. Maksudnya, apabila sesuatu barang tu permintaan dia meningkat, barang-barang yang nak menghasilkan benda ni pun akan turut sama meningkat. Composite demand. Composite demand ni adalah demand kepada bahan-bahan asas. Contoh kata, kalau permintaan tayar semakin tinggi, so permintaan getah akan jadi semakin tinggi. Permintaan minyak masak semakin tinggi, so permintaan untuk kelapa sawit akan jadi tinggi. Alright. So that one is composite demand. Alright. Satu lagi, dia juga boleh jadi disebabkan oleh permintaan. Contoh kata getah, permintaan pada sektor tayar, permintaan daripada sektor barangan plastik, permintaan daripada penghasilan glove pada waktu sekarang. So this one is goes as a composite demand. Alright. The next one is determinant of demand. The first one, income. The second, taste and preference. Yang ketiga, price of related goods. Alright. Number 4, buyers' expectation of future price incomes and availability of goods and services. Number 5, number of buyers. 6 is other determinants. Okay. Let's start with the income. For normal goods, increase in income may lead to increase in the demand and decrease in income cause decrease in demand. For inferior goods, increase in income cause decrease in demand, but decrease in income because increase in demand. Alright. Normal good versus inferior goods. Contoh dekat sini. Okay. Normal good ni adalah when your demand increase. Okay. So your demand juga akan increase. Kalau you punya income decrease, you punya demand pun akan decrease. Inferior goods is increase income, demand akan decrease. Tapi kalau you punya pendapatan berkurang, you punya permintaan akan tinggi. Contoh paling simple adalah burger biasa dengan burger McD. Alright. So, normal goods is which one is normal goods? Apabila income naik, demand pun akan naik. Normal goods is a McDonald's. And inferior goods is street burger. Kenapa? Apabila you punya pendapatan dah makin tinggi. Saya bagi contoh senang lah. Awal semester, duit ada banyak, PTPTN pun masuk, apa lagi? Anything bantuan pun masuk. So you akan pergi ke McDonald's untuk makan burger. You akan pergi KFC untuk makan ayam. You dah tak pergi dekat gerai-gerai tepi jalan untuk beli burger ataupun beli ayam RM2. So that one is concept dia. Inferior goods adalah street burger. Apabila dah hujung bulan, dah kering, you dah tak pergi makan dah dekat McDonald's. Kalau nak beli burger, you akan pergi ke street burger untuk beli burger. Sebab apa? Sebab you punya income dah berkurang, decrease. So you punya permintaan untuk barangan yang lebih murah, which is street burger, akan meningkat. Okay, so this one is reflect on the income. Okay, taste and preference. Taste and preference may suddenly change demand for a product, triggered by various factors. Example, advertising, fashion, trend, development of new product, idols. When a product becomes less preferable to consume, the demand curve will shift to the less and vice versa. Okay, let me know air sikit. Alright, taste, cita rasa dan rupa. Yang ni I think goes to the ladies lah kot. Kan? Tapi orang lelaki pun tak ada bezanya. Okey. Setengah orang akan membeli disebabkan oleh rupa, rasa ataupun sebab idola dia pakai, kan. A very simple orang kata example, ya. Okey. Kalau perempuan ni dia akan tengok fashion. Dia tengok, "Uish, wow, tudung apa? Tudung nelofa, tudung dark, apa lagi? Blouse baru, oh handbag, artis pakai." So nak beli, nak pakai juga sebab ikut trend fashion, dia punya trend dan juga idols dia. So dia orang pun akan beli. Sebab tu a few product dia akan ada duta. Contohlah kata macam sekarang air apa, air yang bubble tea tu, dia dah ada satu idola daripada Korea tu, nama apa tu saya tak ingat dah. So dengan harapannya orang yang minat dekat idola ni, dia akan pergi beli dekat bubble tea. So that's one of the functions of idols. Okay, kalau geng-geng lelaki, kan, minat main game, kan, contoh kata, bukan contoh kata lah, saya rasa semua minat main game. Tiba-tiba adalah artis ni yang dia minat pun main game, kan, ataupun ada naik iklan dekat Facebook game yang lebih menarik. So dia orang pun akan install and play that game. Okay, so that one goes to the taste and preference. Okay, when a product become less preferable to consume, the demand curve will shift to the left and vice versa. Okay, Contoh kat sini pun dia bagi handphone dengan MP3, LCD. Orang zaman dulu, handphone adalah sekadar untuk bercakap saja. Dia tak ada function untuk MP3, tak ada function untuk dengar lagu ke, ambil gambar. So permintaan untuk handphone, CD dan MP3 ni, all these things lebih kurang je. Sekarang apa dah jadi? Your handphone is everything. Dekat situlah radio, dekat situlah kamera, sampai boleh zoom 50 kali zoom lah apa semua. Dekat situlah boleh dengar lagu kan? Apa lagi you boleh buat? Dekat situlah you boleh browse internet, all those things kan? Dekat situ you boleh guna GPS. So apa akan jadi dengan permintaan produk-produk lain ni? Contoh kata you dah ada handphone, ada lagi kau orang akan beli Walkman untuk dengar lagu? Ada lagi ke orang akan beli kamera yang biasa-biasa sekadar untuk ambil gambar? Okay. So yang ni, bila sesuatu produk dah makin kurang famous ataupun dah tak suitable, demand dia akan menurun. So new teknologi yang lebih advance, orang akan pergi ataupun minta permintaan yang lebih tinggi untuk teknologi yang lebih tinggi. Alright. The third one, price of related good. The price of one product does affect the demand of other product. This one reflect to the substitute goods. Macam saya cerita tadi, contohnya macam Maggi. Okay, right here is example of butter and margarine, coffee and tea. The more you buy of one, the less you buy the other. If the tea price increase, coffee will become relatively cheap and demand for coffee will increase. Senang sahaja. Substitute goods. You biasa pakai makan Maggi. Maggi dah naik harga, you dah tak sanggup nak beli Maggi, you akan pergi beli Mami. Sebab Mami lebih murah. Ya. Dulu you pakai butter, tapi butter dah harga RM10 seketul, you tukar pergi ke margarine. Kan? Sama juga dengan coffee and tea. Alright. So itu adalah substitute goods. Right. Apabila harga sesuatu barang meningkat, so you will get to you will buy the substitute good which cost you lower. Right. Complementary goods, goods that must be used together, they complement to each other. Car and petrol, DVD and DVD player. The more you buy of one, the more you buy the others. Example: if the car price increase, less demand for car, meaning less demand for petrol as well. Yeah. Okay, our situation right now, the demand for travelling decrease sebab kena PKP, RMO, restriction movement order, you tak boleh keluar. So what happened to the complementary good which is petrol? Also decrease. Even the price is decreased, but because of the situation right now, you cannot buy more. Kan? Okay. Sama juga kalau if the prices for the house is increased, so what happened to the other complementary goods? Contohnya barang-barang untuk buat rumah. Okay. No. That one boleh digunakan, tapi it's quite difficult. Contoh lain lagi adalah seperti itu DVD player, kalau harga untuk baja meningkat, what will happen to the end product? Turut meningkat. Is it complementary good or not? Find that answer and give it to me. Alright, number 4, buyer expectation of future price, incomes and availability of goods and services. Sometimes decision is made on what is predicted to happen in the future. If the price of petrol may increase tomorrow, the demand for petrol today may increase. Okay, pada situasi biasa sebelum ni, kita boleh tengok pada hari let's say kalau kata harga petrol akan berubah pada hari Sabtu. So kalaulah pada hari Sabtu tu dijangkakan harga petrol akan turun, so apa akan jadi? Hari ni tak ada orang beli petrol sebab dia nak beli dengan harga yang lebih murah pada esok hari. So the demand for petrol for today is decreased. Okay. So apakah jadi kalau tiba-tiba esok dijangkakan petrol akan naik harga sebanyak 50 sen 1 liter. Hari ni stesen minyak macam sambut hari raya, penuh dengan orang untuk isi minyak. Sebab apa? Sebab of the future price. Okay, expectation of future price boleh menyebabkan permintaan sesuatu barang tu boleh berubah. Ada juga let's say orang buat promosi. Okey, kalau beli tahun ni promotion year end sale, beli pada tahun ni you akan dapat potongan harga sebanyak 30%. Berbanding dengan beli pada tahun hadapan, tak akan ada potongan harga. So tahun ni ramai orang akan beli berbanding dengan tahun depan. Alright, number of buyers, of course lah, very simple. When number of buyers increase, the demand for most product will also increase. Contoh macam apa? Permulaan sekolah. Setiap kali nak mula sekolah, permintaan untuk baju sekolah, permintaan untuk kasut, beg sekolah, pensel, pen, eraser, sharpener, all those things akan meningkat disebabkan oleh semua orang beli barang yang sama pada waktu tersebut. So number of buyer increase, the demand of product also increase. Contohlah kata kalau you nak masuk buka semester baru, masa tu lah you nak beli baju baru, nak beli kasut baru, apa lagi, nak beli buku baru. Okay, so what will happen? Number of buyer increase, the demand also akan increase. Alright, ada determinants, government policy, weather, seasonal factors. Okay, government policies ni contoh paling senang adalah penggunaan kasih kereta, children car seat, penggunaan kerusi keselamatan kanak-kanak. When the government issues a new policy, so automatic the demand for the for car seat also increase. Kan? Tahun ni kerajaan kata bulan 6 wajib pakai car seat dekat dalam kereta. So permintaan untuk car seat tiba-tiba akan melonjak tinggi disebabkan kerajaan dah menggunakan satu polisi. Contoh masa sekarang adalah penggunaan penggunaan mask dan juga hand sanitizer. When the government ask you to wear clothes or wear mask and use hand sanitizer, so what happen to the demand? It's very high. Sampai kita tak cukup mask dan juga hand sanitizer dekat pasaran. That one is go to the policy. Weather, rainy season. Apa yang laku masa-masa rainy season? Contohnya adalah payung ataupun baju hujan. Pada musim tengkujuh, baju hujan dan juga payung sangat tinggi dia punya permintaan. So the weather also play an important role for the demand quantity. Seasonal factors, festive season. Yang ni dah nak masuk bulan puasa dengan hari raya dan juga pesta hari gawai. So what will happen? Lots of people will buy anything necessary to celebrate the festive season. Seasonal factors also bring factors kepada quantity demand all throughout the year. Alright. Okay, elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand, there are three types of elasticity of demand. The first one is price elasticity of demand, gross elasticity of demand, and income elasticity of demand. Alright, before that, elasticity of demand refers to the how you to measure the responsiveness of quantity demand to a change in price of goods, price of other goods and income. Maksudnya, macam mana tindak balas kuantiti yang diminta kepada perubahan pada harga barang yang lain dan juga pendapatan. Right, it's very simple. Responsiveness of quantity demand to a changes in price of goods, price of other goods and income. Right. Price elasticity of demand. This one I will give you a video, so you can have a look at that video. It's a YouTube link. So tengok dekat link YouTube tu, apa itu price elasticity of demand. Alright. The first one, price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand merujuk kepada responsiveness of quantity demand of a product to a changes in the product own price. Apa akan berlaku apabila harga sesuatu barang itu berubah? Berapakah kadar perubahan quantity demand apabila harga sesuatu barang itu berubah? It's a ratio of percentage change in quantity demand of a product to a percentage changes in its price. Okay, the formula is very simple. Right, PED formula. P price, E elasticity, D demand. Right, price elasticity of demand adalah percentage change in quantity demand and also percentage change in price. Right. Okay, example here. A Formosa Water Park, price is ticket, price from 25 to 30. Number of tickets sell fall from 2,000 to 1,000. Compute. And the computation is as follow. Okay. The first one, PED adalah price quantity changes. Quantity changes, maksudnya dekat sini apa yang berubah adalah numbers of ticket from 2,000 to 1,000. Okay, it's really important you know which one is Q1 and Q2. Alright, Q1 adalah okay, Q1 is permulaan, Q2 and yang kedua, the end. Q1 is Q2 minus Q1 over okay, Q2 minus Q. Alright, dekat sini macam mana? I will record a calculation for you, then I will upload in our Telegram group. Alright, for the calculation in changes of quantity demand and percentage changes in price. Right, so we leave it for a moment. After this, I will get it to you. Okay, also this one also we skip first and then I will give you an example. Right, degree of price elasticity of demand. We have elastic, inelastic, unitary elastic, perfectly elastic and perfectly inelastic. Okay, very simple. Ada elastic, ada yang tak elastic, unit elastic, perfect elastic, perfect and elastic. Okay, jangan pening-pening, it's very simple. Right, elastic demand means small percentage changes in the price will lead to a larger percentage changes in quantity demand. Okay, coefficient is more than 1. Coefficient is okay, this one dekat sini. This is a coefficient numbers there, right? Okay. No need to terpening sangat sebab coefficient lah apa benda. It's very simple. Once you dah faham dengan calculation yang saya ajar, so you boleh buat yang ni. Alright. Elastic elastic, sikit je perubahan harga akan menyebabkan quantity demand ni sangat besar. Perubahan quantity demand sangat besar. Okay. Example, price of Colgate increased by 5%. The quantity of demand fall by 10%. Maksudnya kalau harga barang tu increase hanya sebanyak harga dia increase by 5% sahaja, tapi quantity demand dia jatuh sehingga 10%. Okay. This one is we call as elastic demand. Percentage changes in price is very small, but because percentage changes in quantity demand is very large. Okay, that one is elastic. Nak tahu senang saja, dia punya coefficient is larger than 1. Type of goods, good with high certitude, maksudnya barang-barang yang ada certitude lain. Contohnya macam ubat gigi dan baju. Colgate naik harga sebanyak 10%. So dia punya permintaan akan jatuh sehingga 20%. So that one is elastic demand. Right. Inelastic. Inelastic is dia berbalik dengan elastic. Kalau elastic tadi kita faham, harga berubah sikit, permintaan akan berubah banyak. Dalam inelastic, perubahan besar pada harga hanya akan menyebabkan perubahan kecil sahaja dalam demand, and the coefficient is less than 1. Okay, let's say the sugar price increased by 10%, but it only leads to the decrease of 2% in quantity demand for it. Why? Because this is good with low certitude. Gula, you nak ganti dengan apa lagi gula? Nak ganti dengan apa orang panggil? Stevia. Stevia mahal, kan? Nak ganti dengan apa lagi? Benda-benda manis. Saya tak boleh buat makan, boleh tengok je. Macam tu. Alright. So inelastic demand, very simple. Perubahan besar pada harga akan menyebabkan perubahan kecil pada demand. Alright. Anything yang memang you dah ada substitute pun tapi mahal, that one is the type of goods dia, atau jenis-jenis produk dia. Sugar, petrol, apa lagi, electricity. Alright. Unitary elastic demand, when percent change in price is equal to the percent change in quantity demand. Coefficient is equal to 1. Example, kalau peningkatan harga naik sebanyak 5%, ya, so quantity demand pun hanya akan berkurang sebanyak 5%. Contoh dia, find for me. Boleh? Alright, perfectly inelastic demand. The quantity of demand does not change as the price change. Coefficient is 0. Maksudnya ada perubahan harga pun takkan ada perubahan kuantiti. Dia tak inelastic, perfectly inelastic. Maksudnya harga berubah lah secara banyak mana pun, dia punya kuantiti tak akan berubah. Contohnya adalah insulin. Kalau harga insulin tu naik 100%, contoh kata sebelum ni harga dia RM10, naik sehingga RM20, what happen to demand? Still the same. Maksudnya tak ada perubahan. Kan? Bila tak ada perubahan, so bila coefficient dia 0, that means here price of insulin, right, quantity of demand. Quantity of demand 0 over 10. So you will get 0. Coefficient is 0. That means perfectly inelastic demand. Okay, what about perfectly elastic? Perfectly elastic ni, small changes in price lead to infinite percentage changes in the quantity demand. Coefficient dia adalah infinity. When the price is RM10, the quantity of demand will be 5. But when there's the price changes, increase or decrease, there will be a 0 quantity demand. Mula-mula harga dia RM10. So, dia ada quantity of demand dia 5. But when the price change, sama ada dia increase or decrease, automatic the quantity demand will be 0. It's a very rare situation, but this is possible. Okay, also find me an example for this perfectly elastic demand. Perfectly inelastic and perfectly elastic demand curve. Alright, so here whether the price is changed or not, kan, price dia low or high, the quantity remain same. Okay, tapi for the perfectly elastic demand curve, right, when the price increase, the demand will be 0. When the price decrease, the demand will be 0. So at a certain price only, there is a demand. Kalau tak ada, kalau harga berubah, demand automatic akan jadi 0. Okay. Determinant of elasticity price of demand. The first one is existence of substitutes. More substitutes, this means more elastic demand. Low or no substitute, that means demand is inelastic. It's very simple. Right. Kalau barang tu ada substitute, that means dia lebih elastik. Kan? Maggi dengan contoh kata Maggi, mi segera, dia sangat banyak substitute. So elastik dia punya demand is more elastic. Barang-barang yang tak ada substitute, contoh kata sugar, petrol, so dia punya demand is inelastic. Proportion of the expenditure on a product. Cheap product less sensitive. Kan? Expensive product is more sensitive. Okay. Cheap product, kan, contoh kata macam sayur, sekilo RM2 hari ni, sawi sekilo RM2. Esok dia naik harga sebanyak 50%, kan, harga dia jadi RM3 sekilo, tapi dia inelastic. Kan, sebab apa? Sebab barang tu murah, dia naik RM1 pun kita tak terasa sangat, walaupun kadar kenaikan dia adalah 50%. Tapi kalau barang-barang mahal, kan, more sensitive, contoh kata house ataupun emas. Alright, emas sekarang harga dia adalah RM200 1 gram. Kan? Dia naik cuma 1% sahaja. Kan? 1% is kalau 100 RM1, dia akan naik RM2 pada 1 gram. So 200 times 1%, dia cuma naik RM2. 200 RM2. Tapi dia punya demand dah jadi kurang. Sebab apa? Sebab kenaikan harga RM2. Even though dia punya percentage increase tu is very small, tapi dia punya value sangat besar. Same goes to the house. Kan? Contoh kata harga rumah. Biasanya harga rumah kita saya letaklah 200,000. Percentage naik cuma 10%. 10% daripada 200,000 berapa? Kalau 100,000 bermasuk 10,000. 200,000 bersamaan dengan 20,000. So harga rumah naik dengan sebanyak 20,000, demand dia dah jadi turun. Okay, nampak tak situ beza percentage. Cheap product, walaupun dia punya percentage dia, kenaikan harga dia tu sangat tinggi, tapi less sensitive berbanding dengan barang-barang yang mahal ni. Walaupun percentage dia tu cuma naik sikit saja, tapi dia bawa value yang sangat besar. Okay, nature of goods. Necessity good and less important goods. Okay, necessity good, contoh kata electricity, it is inelastic. So walaupun harga elektrik makin meningkat dari tahun ke tahun, dia punya permintaan tetap sama. Sebab apa? You still have to use the electricity. You don't have any choice, kan? So that one is inelastic. Less important goods, kan? barang-barang kemas ke apa semua, is the elastic. So you tak perlukan sangat. Alright. Income level. Higher income, less elastic as compared to lower income group. Because they are less sensitive to price changes. Orang yang pendapatan lebih tinggi ni, dia tak kisah sangat dengan perubahan harga. Tapi bagi mereka yang berpendapatan rendah, lower income, a small changes in price of the goods ataupun barang-barang dah mempengaruhi dia punya permintaan. Hari minggu bulan ni beras beli harga RM30 10 kilo. Bulan depan harga beras naik jadi RM40. RM10 beza. Orang yang berpendapatan rendah, dia dah rasa benda tu membebankan ataupun dia kena cari beras yang lebih murah. Tapi orang yang kaya, orang yang berpendapatan tinggi, beras dia harga RM50 untuk 10 kilo. Bulan depan beras dia naik harga jadi RM100. Dia still lagi rasa benda tu tak membebankan dan boleh digunakan. So that's why, because price changes is less sensitive to them. Okay, time dimension. Longer time period, more elastic the demand. Short term price changes we have inelastic demand. Okay, contoh ni apa kat sini? Perubahan harga pada jangka masa panjang dan juga jangka masa pendek. Kalau perubahan harga berlaku pada jangka masa panjang, kan? So buyers ni dia ada masa untuk pergi cari substitute goods. Right. Kalau lah short term price change, maksudnya perubahan harga tu cuma berlaku dalam kadar waktu yang singkat. So tak akan berlakunya quantity demand tu, tak akan berubah sangat sebab buyers ataupun consumer do not have enough time to look for substitute. So dia akan buat tak kisah je. Alright. Habit. Those who smoke, okay. Habits ni you punya kata apa, tabiat. Orang yang merokok, orang yang minum alkohol, apa lagi, orang yang suka main game, kan? Ataupun orang yang suka makan coklat, anything yang dah jadi habit. Alright. Itu example je, bukan saya kata semua tu. Alright. Those who smoke and consume alcohol will have inelastic demand. Increase in price may only cause little changes in quantity demand. Okay, saya bagi contoh cigarette. Okay. Orang yang merokok, contoh kata dulu harga rokok sekotak adalah RM5. Permintaannya adalah, contoh kata 100,000 kotak sebulan. Harga dah naik jadi RM10. Dia punya permintaan tetap sama. Harga sekarang dah jadi RM15. Permintaan pun akan sama. Next, harga dah jadi sampai RM20. Permintaan juga akan sama. Sebab apa? It's a habit. Walaupun berlaku perubahan harga, dia punya quantity demand tu tak berubah ataupun hanya berlaku perubahan tu sikit saja. Alright. Next is complementary goods. Complementary goods is goods that have joint demand are inelastic. Okay. Example, pen dengan ink. Even when the price of ink increase, the demand for the pen still inelastic. Maksudnya, walaupun harga untuk dakwat tu dah makin meningkat, tapi permintaan untuk pen tetap sama. Dia tak berubah. Sebab apa? Sebab it's a complementary good. It's complementary each other. Walaupun harga teh dah mahal, kan? Tapi permintaan untuk gula tetap sama. Sebab bila orang beli teh, orang akan beli gula. Something like that. Next is frequently purchased product. Frequently purchased product, example sugar, we tend to have inelastic demand. Kan? Orang sentiasa beli sugar. Tak kisahlah dia dah ada kacang manis ke, kaki dah kena potong pun, permintaan untuk gula tetap sama. So, kalau harga naik sekalipun, orang tetap akan beli. If you still remember or you have any memories, dulu harga gula cuma kalau tak silap saya, paling mahal dulu adalah RM1.50 per kilo. Sekarang dah sampai harga RM2 lebih. Ke dekat RM3 dah kilo. So the price, even the price increase up to 100%, tapi orang still lagi beli dengan jumlah yang sama. Hey, rarely purchased product, example PS3, the latest one is PS5. Kan? Walaupun harga tu macam mana saya beritahu. Okey, barang-barang yang biasanya jarang yang kita beli ni, bila ada penurunan harga, automatik kita akan beli. Kan? Contoh kata, kalau Watson buat sale untuk certain cosmetic produk, yang ladies ni automatik akan pergi ke Watson untuk beli. Kan? Walaupun benda tu bukanlah dibeli setiap hari ataupun setiap minggu, rarely purchase product, but when the price goes down, automatic the demand will high. So it's reflect back to the price elasticity of demand. Alright. Okay, exercise. This one I will also record for you how to calculate. But if you have time, you can search and share with your friends. Alright. Cross elasticity of demand. Okay. This one is also calculation. Income elasticity of demand. Okay. I will just give you a brief on this one. Then later on I will give you a video on how to calculate this cross elasticity of demand. Cross elasticity of demand is a ratio of the change in the quantity demand for a good and services to a given percentage change in the price of related good. Okay. Ia lebih kepada perubahan harga pada quantity demand of good X dan apa yang berlaku pada perubahan harga of good Y. Okay, contoh dia macam ni. Kalau Maggi berlaku perubahan harga, apa yang akan berlaku kepada quantity demand of what we call it, apa tu tadi, Mami or Indomie or Mi Sedap. Okay, perubahan harga pada Maggi, apakah yang akan berlaku sekiranya berlaku perubahan harga pada Maggi kepada perubahan harga Mi Sedap. Kalau harga Maggi meningkat, berapakah percentage quantity demand of Mami ni meningkat atau menurun? Okay. A positive coefficient develop positive relationship between the two goods. If the price of goods X increase, the quantity demand for good Y will also increase. A negative coefficient denotes the negative relationship between two goods, meaning that when the price of X increase, the quantity for good Y will decrease. Okay. This one, a positive coefficient tells you the goods is a substitute goods. A negative coefficient, it tells you that the goods is the complementary goods. Substitute goods, if the price of good X increase, the quantity demand for good Y also increase. Okay, contoh dia dekat sini adalah kalau harga Maggi meningkat, kuantiti untuk Mi Sedap akan meningkat. So this is substitute goods. Kalau price of good X increase, the quantity for good Y decrease is a complementary goods. Complementary is a contoh kata car and petrol. When the price of car increase, the quantity for petrol will decrease. Right, sebab apa? Sebab harga kereta dah mahal, orang kurang beli kereta. So, kurang kereta, kurang petrol. Alright. Kita nak tengok dia punya relationship dekat situ. Zero cross elasticity is increase in price of one product will not affect the demand of another product. Which means there is no relationship. Increase in price of house will have no effect on the demand for the mineral water. Right. So it's mostly unrelated goods ataupun barang-barang yang tak berhubung kait pun. Contoh kat sini, harga rumah meningkat, so demand for mineral water tak ada perubahan. Dia tak akan memberi kesan kepada permintaan untuk mineral water. That one is zero cross elasticity. Okay, for the exercise, if you can do this exercise by referring to any example in the internet, then you may do it and share with your friends. It's good if you can teach your friends. Right. Income elasticity of demand. Quite same with the previous one, but this one is changes in quantity demand over changes percentage changes in income. It's very simple. Income elasticity demand is to measure the responsiveness or sensitivity of changes in the quantity demand for a product due to changes in income. Consumer income will affect the demand for different product. Okay, maksudnya kat sini dia nak tengok kalau berlaku perubahan pendapatan, adakah berlaku perubahan kepada quantity demand. Right. Coefficient, we have positive, negative and zero. Positive coefficient, it states that income increase, demand also increase. If equal to 1 is equal to 1, less than 1 or more than 1. Okay. Kalau you dapat coefficient dia sama dengan 1, it's a positive income. Alright. Okay. Less than 1 is for the normal goods or necessities. Kalau more than 1, it's referred to the luxury goods. But if you get a negative coefficient, it's stated for the inferior goods. Where income increase, the demand will decrease. 0, you got 0, that means it's a necessity. Okay, this one also same. If you can do this one, so you can share with your friends. Last but not least, I think. Yes. Elasticity of demand of agriculture product versus elasticity of demand of industrial product. Agriculture sectors are unique sectors in economic because it displays characteristic in terms of demand of each goods not seen in another sector. If the agriculture sector is on the short run, it is income inelastic. Money a consumer spend on food may increase, but his consumption will decrease. Demand for agriculture goods is fairly stable. Maksudnya dia tak merujuk kepada income. Kalau inelastic is even the you reflect back to the inelastic concept. Even the price is change, there is more changes in demand. Maksudnya tak kisahlah harga akan jadi macam mana, orang akan tetap makan. So agriculture sector ni dia quite unique. Alright. Long run, factor that play a significant role is a population. To increase the demand for agriculture produce, the population have to increase. Dia tak macam barang lain. Untuk agriculture sector, kalau you nak tingkatkan lagi you punya demand, cara dia adalah dengan meningkatkan populasi. Populasi manusia semakin bertambah, maksudnya permintaan untuk produk agriculture semakin bertambah. It's very simple. Dia kurang sikit relate dengan benda-benda lain, tapi dia lebih kepada populasi. Regional food taste and preference determined by its demography. Alright. In a conclusion, demand for agriculture products are relatively stable in the long run, as consumer, regardless of price, want demand above the fixed amount. No substitute for food. Orang yang berada dalam bidang agriculture ni, you are very lucky because anything you produce tak boleh ditukar ganti. Ya, kalau you menghasilkan minyak masak, okey, so apa yang nak ganti dengan minyak masak? Tak kisahlah sumber you daripada mana, tak boleh sawit ke, jagung ke, gandum ke, all those things. Tapi orang akan perlukan minyak masak. Dan kalau you hasilkan tanaman, beras, ya, orang nak substitute apa dengan beras? Ya, so agriculture sectors is very stable because there is no substitute for foods. Tak makan, mati. Okay, elasticity of demand of industrial product can be inelastic and sensitive to change in price if two or supplier exist, but at the same time can be highly elastic to individual suppliers. Okay, industrial product ni dia boleh jatuh dalam dua bahagian. Sama ada dia boleh jadi inelastic ataupun boleh jadi elastic. Inelastic kalau there is group of supplier exist, maksudnya ada ramai supplier. Macam mana saya nak bagi mana yang ni ya? Apabila ramai supplier akan cuba untuk maintain pada kadar harga yang lebih kurang sama. So dekat sini kuranglah berlaku changes dekat price. Alright. Tapi kalau ada suppliers lain yang menurunkan harga, dia boleh jadi sangat elastik sebabkan oleh this a few ataupun individual suppliers yang turunkan ataupun naikkan harga. Alright. Okay, exercise ni pun sama. Kalau boleh buat, tolong buat dulu. Nanti share dekat group. Okay, that's all. That's all for the chapter demand. Alright, thank you so much. And that's all for today.